What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Intensive Treatment, the new podcast where we talk about all things Arkham. And I'm joined by my co-host, Marvel DC fan. So thank you for doing this with me. This was his idea, and we're just gonna kind of see where we go with it and talk about some various Arkham topics that have yet to be discovered or uncovered from our minds, because we all know that you're dying to hear our thoughts on Arkham, because we're the two greatest Arkham YouTubers and most popular Arkham YouTubers on YouTube.
Suck it, slick them off.
Exactly. Get the fuck out of here, Slickmall. You're not popular.
Yeah,
80 plus million views. Shut up.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, today we're going to be talking about actually a topic that I thought was really a good idea to start off. Was Marvel came up with the idea of maybe analyzing boss fights and seeing how well they rank among each other.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvel, is there a specific boss fight that you want to start off with, or do you want to go through kind of the maybe Arkham Origins all the way to Night in order?
Yeah, I guess we can go game to game, and maybe for the sake of it, we'll stick with just main story bosses rather than side mission stuff, because I feel like that's kind of a topic for another day. But yeah, I'd just say let's we'll go game to game. Doesn't matter which games we'll start out with first, but anyway, where do you want to start?
I think we should start, although it's not the first one that came out, it is the first canonical one, Arkham Origins.
Okay.
So, and plus that is a game known for its boss fights specifically.
True. Yeah.
So let's start off with the big Arkham Origins. Let's just start off with the very first boss, Killer Croc.
Killer Croc.
So my personal thoughts on this boss fight is, despite popular opinion, I actually don't think it's as good as the Arkham Asylum one.
Yeah, no.
And why, you may ask? Well, because the Arkham Asylum one perfectly builds up suspense. It's not so much a fighting boss fight, but it's more of just, you have to do this thing and you have to get past Croc in order to do it, or you will die and all of Gotham will be destroyed, basically.
Basically.
So, and Arkham Origins, I think, is a cool boss fight. It's definitely, it's a fighting boss fight, but the Killer Croc boss in Arkham Asylum progresses you through the story and really makes an impact on how this world of Gotham will kind of come to an end if Batman doesn't stop whatever's going to happen.
Right.
So I wouldn't rank this boss as high up as a lot of people rate it. It's just a standard, just cape stun boss fight, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Yeah, to me, it's just it's fine for what it is. It's nothing really too extraordinary. I mean, it's I mean, for Killer Croc in the Arkham series, because he hasn't really had many standout moments. I guess Arkham Asylum, like you said, that boss fight, if you want to count that as a boss, which I do, that was probably his big part of the story. But here it's just since we're establishing the early careers of these characters, and we see Croc as kind of he's just mainly muscle.
He's kind of like a gangster.
Yeah, he's a very gangster-esque, and he definitely uses his strength for sure in the fight, but it's how it's structured and how it kind of progresses things. I'd say it's fine. It's about it.
I mean, the one thing I love though about that boss fight is when thought it was particularly cool where you have to kind of struggle to get out of his jaws. I thought that was really cool. I just like that. And the animation's awesome. I mean, how he's snapping his jaws in front of you and you kind of just punch his face and kick him back. I always love that.
Yeah.
But I think the boss fight is no different than any of the Bane fights in that game. You just cape stun him and beat him down, basically.
Yeah, to me, he's basically kind of a tougher version of a thug. He's just kind of a default thug kind of character. So it's just It's nothing too substantial about it besides that. But yeah, that animation though, where you're trying to, get out of his grasp and stuff, like that's pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
do love the moment that happens right after the boss fight finishes, where it's
Oh,
just
the
you interrogate.
interrogation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
love that.
other than that though, it's just like it's just meh. Like it's whatever.
Yeah, I agree. It's I'm not like put down by the boss fight, but I don't get like overly excited.
No, it's weird too because you find out at the Batcave that he's one of the assassins hired. So it's just like, why? He's like,
Right.
they could have like brought him back later in the game, but it's just like, it's so weird to start with something that's so just kind of there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, because he could have had a really cool boss fight.
yeah,
They could have, like, it could have been in like the sewers. Theoretically, like Batman could have went underwater or something. Who knows?
hmm
But yeah, what we got is what we got, and I'm not like disappointed with it. It's just I wouldn't rate it high.
No.
So the next boss fight in Arkham Origins, I don't think I'm going to go in order because I don't really remember the exact order of the Arkham Origins boss fights.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure the next boss fight was Electrocutioner, which isn't even a boss.
Call that a boss.
I wouldn't.
No.
Well, then let's skip right over that, despite the comedy from that boss fight.
I love that moment, just
Me
like
too.
just as a kind of like what the fuck moment in that whole game.
I was like, oh shit, we're gonna fight Electrocutioner, and then he's just unconscious.
It's just so funny because like they're hyping this guy up as like a big kind of enforcer type assassin, and then as soon as you meet him, like afterwards, like he's just a joke. And
I know.
But yeah, that moment is like, that moment will always be funny to me. One thing I like to do for my, like, whenever I play it is that I like to, like, because he's just like he's just throwing insults and stuff. So what I like to do is walk backwards, like, and get a running start. So like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah, not a boss, but like still a pretty fun moment.
Yeah. Next up is a very controversial boss battle. When it first came out, it wasn't controversial. Everybody thought it was the greatest. But now that we've had a little bit of time to reflect on Arkham Origins, as I'm opening my quesadilla box,
Yes.
Deathstroke, highly overrated, in my opinion. It is really just, I don't have too much fun playing it anymore because it's been so hyped up as like the greatest boss fight, but really all it is a bunch of counters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, I guess, if you like countering, but it's just like a copy and paste of the Ra's al Ghul fight, especially for that sword dodge part where you like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it does have like some Ra's al Ghul bits in there, but I'm the complete opposite. I love this boss.
Wow.
For me, it's like for me it's distinct because it's like throughout the games there hasn't really been too many characters that could actually match wits with Batman. Like maybe like Ra's al Ghul for sure, but most other characters, they don't really stand a chance when Batman's in the room. And it's one of the only few kind of combat centric bosses that actually work for Batman. Yes, there's a whole lot of countering, but once you're in the zone, once you get like moving throughout the boss, like I find it actually a whole lot of fun, and it's probably in my top 5 for sure. So
wow. Well, I think it is in my top 5, but that's because, like you said, there isn't a whole lot of boss fights in Arkham where it's very combat oriented.
No.
Like if we're talking about combat, it's definitely higher up on my list, but I would say that in terms of strategy, there's not much there because, I mean, once you play it 2 or 3 times, you like get the move set of how Deathstroke moves. Like I can remember like the order of how he kind of attacks at you, depending on what move you do. But I mean, that goes with every boss fight. I mean, you can do that for Mr. Freeze too. But I don't know. I just feel like it was overdone with the hype. At the time, it definitely was the best boss fight, I think. But now that I'm a little bit older, I kind of appreciate the Mr. Freeze boss more, and we'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
when I was younger, I hated that boss fight. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I fucking hated that boss fight. I didn't want to do it. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we do have opposing views on that. But I'd say in the larger scope of things, I guess I do like the boss fight for certain aspects. But I'd say for the short term, I really, it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely agree with you on some of your points. But I find it, probably one of the better combat centric ones. And also it's a boss, when you think about it, like there hasn't, in terms of the Arkham games, there aren't too many bosses that are actually like, face to face 1v1. Usually when it's that kind of thing, they have a whole bunch of thugs in the room. So I like it for that fact, where it's just like there's nobody in the room, it's just the two of them, and it's just like an all-out brawl between them.
That is a cool part of it. I will admit that it is the only boss fight that's combat oriented that is between you and another foe.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing one, but I don't think I am.
We'll get to, I'm sure we'll remember it when we go down go through the games. But
yeah. So next up is, God, who was next? Was it it was Bane, I think.
I think it was Copperhead.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was Copperhead.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, legitimately, I completely agree with you.
I don't understand why they did that. I guess because she was popular at the time, but it's like, it's hard to unsee that every time you play the game.
You're right. I see her every time. I'm like, oh God, I'm fighting Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, no. But
yeah. So what do you think of it first? I want to start with you.
Actually, I think it's kind of lame. Because it's just like it's not distinct at all. Like it's just taking elements from other, bosses and stuff. Like you got a little bit of Ra's al Ghul in there. You got some Scarecrow and you just, that kind of thing where it's like there's nothing really memorable about it either. Like there's not one part of that boss that stands out to me at all. Like but yeah, it's just a mishmash of ideas that were already done like plenty of times beforehand in the games, and that's what hurts it at the end of the day for me.
Yeah. I actually completely agree with you. It was never a boss that I loved to play because, like you said, it does feel like a mixture of Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow, definitely, because of all the hallucinogenic she had Batman on.
Yeah.
Fucking acid ass trip. Like, but I mean, I think the hallucinations were actually pretty cool. But when you get around to the boss fight, it's just like, how the hell are these fake copperheads taking the life away from you?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I mean, it kind of is the same with the Scarecrow, because how can he kill you if it's a hallucination? I don't get it.
Yeah, he just looks at you and you're dead. Like
he's like, I see you. Like, but yeah, Copperhead is a pretty lame boss fight. The hype to it was really big too, and it's a shame because she didn't get a lot of screen time. And that's the thing with most of these assassins, is because there's 9.
Yeah,
barely any of them got any screen time except for Bane. Really.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest issues with the game, is that they don't really like, they had an interesting premise where it's like somebody put a bounty on Batman, and it's just like all these assassins coming to get you for one night only, and they completely disregard that, like, about up until the end of the first act, I want to say. So
yeah.
And even then, like, you only fight like about half of the bosses anyway.
Right, they're not even in the story.
Yeah, some of them like Deadshot and Lady Shiva, like they're only side quest.
And Lady Shiva's was so dumb.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk about them because they're side quests.
No.
But yeah, Lady Shiva and Deadshot, like, they weren't long. It's just like solving these things, and then you kind of just go fight them. You just go find them and fight them.
Plus, it was like it was the Copperhead issue where it's like there's nothing there wasn't any nuance to them either, so it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's just a whole bunch of repeat like
Right.
fights and stuff. So
Absolutely. So next up we have Bane, the first encounter with Bane, because I believe, if I'm correct, because Electrocutioner goes back to Joker, and then he gets kicked his ass out of a window.
dice.
Dies. We never even get to fight him. And then we go fight Bane, and again, not that impressive because
No.
it's just the Killer Croc fight with Titan involved, or not Titan, but the TN1. No, that's not even involved yet. It's just Venom. My bad. Yeah, Venom was involved, and then TN1's later. But maybe we should even jumble all the Bane fights in one because they're
I
all
was
kind
gonna
of the
say
same.
I was gonna mention that I was like just talking about because the first encounter and the first fight you have in Blackgate are basically the same boss, and
They are.
just like I was just gonna say, like just on that alone, like it's fine. It's not great. It's better than his boss in Arkham Asylum. So, but
I'm sorry.
That's it.
It's just it is. It's so much better. But yeah, the first two Bane fights definitely have to be jumbled in the same thing because they're exactly the same and there's no difference. So yeah, Bane is just, Killer Croc, maybe like 1 times harder.
Yeah.
The one thing that makes those bosses hard is the Venom charge. Where he runs at you. They're annoying as shit.
Yeah, it's even worse in the Blackgate fight because it's just like that's all he does. Most of it is just charge at you,
and then there's thugs around you.
Yeah, so it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now the next fight we have is Bane TN1 Bane, which that is so lame. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I do like shocking him, like throwing him into the electric gates. But other than that, it's just hiding and doing takedowns.
Yeah, literally you can just hide in the grates the whole time and you'll win the fight.
Right. Right. It's like, yeah, this. What do you think?
Another thing is that like I don't like the boss either. Like you said, it's just mostly hiding around, and even the electric gate stuff, I was just like, meh. For me, it's the only boss in the game that was kind of unnecessary, and it was only there for trying to cater to because Bane in Arkham Asylum, he didn't know that like Bruce was Batman, but
right.
Origins he knew that, he figured it out, so it was just an excuse just to give him kind of like amnesia for that one thing. Like,
but the issue too is like that's huge. What you just said is that he doesn't. They kind of like tried to cater to him not knowing he was Batman, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because in Arkham Asylum and City, Bane is not that smart. I mean, Batman outsmarted him every time. Especially in Arkham City, he was like, I knew you were trying to get the Titan Bane. Like I knew. And it's obvious because he was addicted. So it's like Bane's this genius, like in the comic books in Arkham Origins. But why can't he figure out he's Batman in the other games? Because he's a freaking idiot, like in Batman and Robin. Like, I don't know if I'd go to that extent, maybe, but
I
he's
wouldn't.
definitely
But like,
pretty stupid. He's definitely stupid. And I feel like there's more trauma involved in Arkham Asylum. Like he's more like upset about his life and like how he's kind of treated as like this character that's been neglected. Like I don't know. Like I don't know.
It's especially weird in Arkham in like the main trilogy because he's he has a huge part in the fact that he's the one that kind of helped further the Titan research and all that. But I mean, every game after that, like City, like he was just like he was brought down to like a side mission. in Night, he wasn't even there at all. So
No, it's that Easter egg.
but yeah, the TN1 boss, like, yeah, it's just unnecessary. So
Yeah, I agree. The next boss would be the Big J, Mr. Joker. So,
oh wait, we forgot about Firefly.
oh yeah, we went straight past them. Firefly is fun as shit every time.
I like it.
I mean, it's a little long in my opinion,
Yeah, I can
but
drag.
at the same time, if you know how to get around it and you know the parts, then it's pretty easy. But I remember the first time I played it, it was very confusing. I didn't know where to go. I was getting lost. So in that aspect, it's not the greatest, but I love the I guess I don't love the boss fight. I love the cutscene more than I love the boss fight.
I'll give it brownie points because it's, if for each of these bosses, I like to have it where it's distinct and it works for that character. And I would say for Fireflies, it definitely has more of an identity than some of the other bosses in that game.
Yeah, and it's not a carbon copy of like another boss from the Arkham series.
But yeah, you mostly just throw glue grenades and like throw batarangs at him. So but I mean, I do like Firefly in that game. Like he's a fun like character, and he had a good kind of mission with the bridge and everything. So all right, let's talk about Joker.
yeah. I'm not really a boss fight. You just kind of throw him around and then punch the shit out of him. But it is fun.
Yeah.
The way that it is, it's like you hit him like he's a rag doll, and you just like Batman does it like it's so easy. But in reality, we all know you can't possibly punch like that. It's so comic booky. I love it.
I know. I love in between the punches, like they'll do the slow-mo shots where it's just like Rocky, where you see like the spit flying out of his mouth and shit. Like I love that.
Me too.
Should we mention Blackgate? Have you played Blackgate at all?
I played a little bit of it, but this is how much of a kid I was back then. I got the free trial and never bought the game because I didn't have money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love the intro to that game, by the way. One of the coolest, in my opinion, intros to a Batman game in the Arkham series. Just like in Gotham on the rooftops, in the rain, chasing down Catwoman and beating up thugs. I loved it. And that whole crane thing, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I haven't played a lot of it. I think I fought maybe Black Mask, I want to say. I don't remember who I fought. But what do you think of them? I haven't played enough of it to say.
There's some bosses that I like over others. But for the most part, most of those bosses are just kind of like they're fine. And at worst, it's just like it's something that I never want to touch again. I talk about the bosses in my review, actually, and I show how I utterly decimate Solomon Grundy, and that's.
That's who I fought, was Solomon Grundy. He was so unneeded.
Yeah.
Why was he even in it? Like I don't understand.
They never explain it.
No, he's just like there.
He's just there. He just shows up and he's just gone.
Right. And like, because in Arkham City, it's like, it almost seems like he didn't know who he was.
No, they never, like the way it was told to us, like they never had an encounter before that. So,
right.
So it just feels so weird when he shows up for his one boss in Blackgate and Batman's just like, oh yeah, Grundy's here. Like, okay. Like, it's like, you're not going to follow up on that? Like,
right.
It's like, but yeah, there's a lot of issues about that game, which you can check out in my review. So, all right, let's talk about the good Batman games. Arkham Asylum. Which,
Ouch.
I guess if you want, we could just round up all the Titan guys, which is like 90% of the bosses in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, do you want to start off?
They suck.
Thank you. It's true. It's absolutely true.
It's literally just the same thing. You know, they charge at you, you throw a batarang, they hit into the wall, lather, rinse, repeat for like 5 bosses, including Bane too. So,
Yep.
it's just lame.
Yeah, they were all the same.
Yeah.
So that's that, because I don't have anything else to say either. Literally nothing. That's it.
I guess we'll talk about Harley Quinn now, which her boss is really lame too.
Harley?
She doesn't even fight you in that game.
I know. It's just like that backflip thing, and then Batman just chucks her.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like fight all these thugs. The floor's kind of electrocuted. That's it.
Mm-hmm. What a
what an
sight.
eventful boss fight.
I know.
Scarecrow's really cool though. I mean, it's not technically a boss, but all of his sequences are really fun and interesting.
Yeah. I think Scarecrow is probably the most original idea that they had for a boss fight. Obviously all of them were original, but just Scarecrow seems like such an interesting route to take, and I couldn't see any other kind of developer ever thinking of something like that. Having like full-on dream sequences, basically. Having like bad acid trips.
Yeah.
But I do think that they get tiresome. Especially the second one. It's like the first one's short, but the second one, it's like a lot longer, and you kind of think like, oh, this is never going to end. It's exactly the same as the last one. Although the third one is not as copied.
No.
I would say it is a little bit long for me, and I wish we had actually had some real world encounters with Scarecrow. But that's just me. But I do think they're the strongest boss fights. So that's really all we can say about it. That's literally all Asylum has.
Yeah, for me, like Scarecrow's basically the highlight of the game. All of his sequences are really fun to play through, and you're right, it can drag on after a little while, but you know, they do some pretty interesting things with with his design and you know, the structure of everything. So like he's definitely like the best part of that game, with like Killer Croc right under it.
Yeah, and we do have to mention the glitch scene, which is a part of his boss. One of the single-handedly coolest, best ideas, most original ideas in video games.
I think you and me were talking about this not too long ago. We
were just kind of talking by ourselves with no camera.
You know.
But yeah, that is such a cool thing to add in, and very original. So that's all I have to say about Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, the only other bosses left are Killer Croc.
Don't you dare mention Joker. I guess it has to be done.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That whole boss is garbage. Killer Croc, which is like, I really like that sequence. I mean, it can be a little long, but it's pretty interesting.
I like it too.
In my opinion. Poison Ivy, I don't like at all.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't really like it. It's kind of just, well, it's I don't know.
You want to talk about bosses dragging on? That's
that's
true. In a nutshell.
True. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Boss fight. That's
And
it.
then I think that's it for Asylum. So
Yeah, that's it.
time to move on to Arkham City, which actually, had some really good bosses in there.
And also some really bad ones.
That's true.
So what was the first boss fight? Two-Face, if you would count that as a boss. I don't really count it as I don't really count it as a boss.
I don't either.
Okay, well, the first real kind of semi-boss fight, I'll call it semi, was Mr. Hammer.
Yeah.
But he's not a full-on boss because you just beat him down.
He's kind of like just another enemy type.
Yeah, that's true. He's like a brute, kind of.
Yeah.
So I guess, so the first boss is really Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, compared to the beginning, is like probably an hour and a half, depending on how fast you play, an hour and a half to 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Which is cool in my opinion to kind of have that different approach of like not putting boss fights right in front of your face. But let's talk a bit about Solomon Grundy because I feel like sometimes I have mixed feelings about his boss. It's definitely boring, I'd say. I don't really love it, but I don't hate it.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It does have some really good moments, especially with you literally punching its fucking heart in.
That was so awesome.
The moment where he literally drags you over to like the electricity.
Yeah.
But it's one of those bosses where I can just like cheese it, no problem. And
oh yeah, it's not hard.
And also the penguin sequence afterwards is like, it's just like, it didn't need to be there.
No. And after that, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's just like he's just shooting rockets at you, and then he just cowers like a little bitch. Like,
you can even cape stun him, and he'll go down. You don't even need to punch him. It's so funny. But yeah, so I guess both of us are in agreement that the Solomon Grundy boss is okay. It's not bad and it's not good. It's just in the middle. But next boss is one of my personal favorites, which is Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul is really good.
I mean, every time I play it, I have fun, like a lot of fun, because it has this whole sequence thing where it's like you think Ra's al Ghul is your friend, and Tally is on your side, and you complete the quests, the 3 gliding things.
Yeah.
And then fight the sand ninjas. And then you kind of go into the room and then tell Tally the truth, and you fight Ra's al Ghul. And the Ra's al Ghul fight is so cool. Back in my day, before Deathstroke came out, we had the sword dodging with Ra's al Ghul. That was what originated it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome in that because the sound effects were so good and it really felt real. And it felt kind of intense. Like, especially the parts where Ra's al Ghul would jump out of the ground and have all his ninjas kind of jump up with him.
Yeah.
And you'd have to click Y like a million times, or not Y on Xbox.
Just hammer that shit in.
I know. And you were like, please, I don't want to die. And when he came out of the ground as that huge sand monster, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was just all around interesting and really original. So that boss gets an A for me. Definitely an A.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Like probably like the second best boss in my opinion in that entire game.
I agree.
It's got a lot of interesting moments, and also like mechanically, the only thing that to me that I have kind of a hard time with is like the giant Ra's al Ghul. Like I can kind of cheese it, but it's like it's hard to tell when to shoot directly towards them. But but everything else though is really cool, and I like the effect that like you're like kind of slipping in and out of this hallucination.
Yeah, that's cool. That is awesome. And when he's kind of holding the sword up against his neck, that was great.
Yeah.
So next up we have, I don't think we're counting Catwoman bosses, are we? I mean, she doesn't. No. But so I guess next up we have Mr. Freeze. Am I correct? Mr. Freeze is next, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because there's that whole Quincy Sharp thing in between it. I don't remember what the hell happened.
Yeah, I think that was. Quincy was just like that was like an interrogation thing. So
I'm just thinking. I felt like there was something before him, but I guess not. Maybe I'm just like deceiving myself. But yeah. So to our knowledge, Mr. Freeze is next, and I want you to start this off because I'm kind of interested to see what you have to say because I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. To me, this is the best boss fight in the entire franchise.
Yep. There's no other words to say it. I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's let's kind of talk about why we love it so much though, because I think a lot of people, at least newer Arkham fans, say that the Deathstroke fight is the best, which is understandable. We talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. But why do you think this one is the quintessential best Arkham fight?
I think for me, because a lot of the bosses are usually just you punching things. Not a whole lot of them revolve around you sneaking your way through it and, trying to outsmart your opponent. And another thing that I love especially is that, not one method is gonna, take him down in the end. Like, he learns from, your attacks. Like he adapts to it. Also, like just that alone is just amazing. Like not really a whole lot of bosses that I played over the years that I've been gaming, they don't really adapt like that, where it's just like you do that and it's like, okay, you're not going to do that anymore.
Right. It's really a very real world boss fight, I think, because that would happen is if you have someone as smart and someone who's frankly a genius in the Batman mythos, Victor Freeze, he's not going to do the same mistake twice.
No.
And it's so cool how they make it so that he calibrates his suit to detect you if you try anything remotely similar to what you had done before. You really have to stay quiet. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, with the Killer Croc one, you have to stay quiet. But like we both said earlier, sometimes the Killer Croc gets a tad repetitive because it can take you a long time. But with Freeze, I never feel it's repetitive because you're always trying something new. It's not like, oh, I have to sneak around and make sure he doesn't hear me every time. I have to sneak around and outthink him. So that's really, and I hope that that's something we get in Gotham Knights with villains, is kind of them thinking for themselves and not being like programmed to just repeat the same thing. So yeah, this boss fight is hands down the best boss fight in Arkham, and I think it's probably the best boss fight in a Batman game that we've ever had. And I don't know if it'll ever be beaten because of that aspect.
Yeah, like just literally about everything is great, and even to me, like I love playing the boss on higher difficulties because then you could really take advantage of the environment and all the.
So damn hard.
Because
it's so hard.
Because there's a certain amount of takedowns you can do throughout the whole boss, and if you play on like normal or easier, so like you can only do a certain amount of them. But if you go like hard or even New Game Plus, like you do all of them. And they really they make you think about what you're actually doing. So you're right, it is hard for sure.
And they're really cool takedowns though, because they're ones that you wouldn't normally use in the main game.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows you how cool Rocksteady's ability to create combat is and to make you feel immersed as Batman.
So, they really thought about what they were doing with it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So next up is
Joker.
I guess, would that be considered a boss fight though? Because it's kind of not just Joker. It's Joker and a bunch of thugs and also Mr. Hammer. and some trains.
Yeah, I mean, I count it as one because it's just like, I guess things happen, but I mean that's the case for a whole lot of bosses too. Like it's just
Well,
like they'll bring
is it even Joker though? Because technically it's Clayface.
Well, if we're counting,
like they're both Clayface.
Yeah.
Just one we don't realize it's Clayface yet or not. So
yeah,
technically it's not Joker.
Yeah, technically, but it's just like
the aesthetic is there though.
If we're going just from the story, like we don't know it's Joker, so I'd just say like that is Joker.
All right, so
and they're like they're pretty different, like different from each other. So it's just like
they are. Yeah. All right, well, yeah. So let's go with Joker. Respecting his pronouns as Joker and not Clayface yet. So I like the boss fight for a few different reasons. For one, it's completely action packed. Like you're never not doing something.
True.
I don't think it's overly hard. I mean, depending on the difficulty you're on, it can be harder than others. But for the most part, most people play it on normal to hard, and it's really not that difficult. It's just a lot of time because there's so many thugs.
Yeah.
And also, I like it because it's integral in the story. I mean, you need that boss fight to get to the Wonder Tower sequence. And it leads into Talia kind of faking her alliance with Joker.
Right.
And you also get Catwoman saving your ass for I don't know what time, how many times she saved you. Not in the game specifically, but just generally. And I don't know, it's just fun. It's kind of the one boss in that game where it's just full on combat.
Right.
And that's why I like it, is because Arkham Origins had too much full on combat. Arkham Asylum had it too, but it was with Titans. And then in this game, it kind of does it all in this one big sequence, which is what I like.
Yeah, I like it. Like there's a whole bunch of bosses just like that one, but I like this more than them because like there's a higher like degree of challenge to it because you got like the all these thugs plus Joker plus Mr. Hammer plus a Titan goon.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Titan
and you have to watch out for the little go-kart things, like some obstacles.
It's basically a challenge map in the game. And you can play it as a challenge map too.
That's right. So,
but yeah, actually that does show it's super fitting. Like they knew how to take set pieces from the game and put them in challenge maps.
Yeah. To me it can overstay its welcome a little bit. But I mean, it depends on how much time you actually take with it. Because if I know expert players can just like mob through all those goons and like
I know
beat it without a sweat. But like sometimes like it's just like all these things plus I got this fucking hammer dude charging at me. Like it's like, all right, let's pipe it down a little bit. But yeah, it's all right, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Clayface next.
Is that next?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because you don't really have a fight with Hugo Strange or like Ra's al Ghul again. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, Clayface. I love this boss fight. Well, I don't want to say I love it because I might like overdo it. I really enjoy it.
I enjoy it. I like the first half more than the second half.
Me too.
That's just me. Like,
no, I agree.
Because those clay goons or whatever, they can get pretty annoying.
Yeah. Especially when Clayface like pops up and starts shooting those huge blobs of clay at you.
Yeah. But the first part where it's like he's rolling into TNT and stuff, and
that was so cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and that's really it. That's it for Arkham City, guys.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight. And what a shit show.
Oh my god.
I'm not counting the stupid ass drone battles and the Batmobile fights, unless it's Arkham Knight, which is every single one of the battles with Arkham Knight. So we're just gonna lump him into one. But the first battle in that game is, I don't remember. Who was it? There really wasn't a lot of villains in that game apart from Arkham Knight.
If we're going just from this, if we're going just from the story, there isn't a whole lot of bosses. Like it's more of a side mission thing. If we're being honest, I think the first boss is Albert King, the wrestler, like the Joker infected one. His boss is just lame. Like I do not care for it whatsoever.
Like a washed up Floyd Mayweather. That was Harley Quinn's not even a boss because you just knock her out.
You just knock her ass out.
You fight her, and then you fight her goons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and of course the Joker thugs have the lamest comeback. They're like, nobody touches the boss like that.
I mean, they're all idiots in those games.
They are.
I think go ahead. I want to say the next boss after that is probably the Arkham Knight tank battle, which
they're all bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're just all bad. And the last one especially, not the last one. The one before the mole machine is horrible, where you have to disable the cloud burst.
Yeah,
God.
You have to stealth your way around.
I hate it. I can't stand it. There's not one time where I think it's fun. Not once.
Oh, yeah,
I dread going to that part of the game. And even the mole machine one sucks. It's not fun. I mean, it's more interesting because you have to you do these cool Batmobile tunnel things, which is actually pretty cool. And he gets stuck in the blast of these TNT things, which are for some reason there. I don't know why.
Yeah.
but
even that though, you're just mostly waiting in front of those tunnels trying to get his attention. And I mean, this is more of a me thing, but whenever I'm driving through those tunnels, to make it easier, I always go into first person. I just, because I think in third person, it's just it's kind of awkward. So if you want to, I'd say try that next time and see how I feel about that. But yeah, that mole boss is crap. And
the last one with him actually in person is pretty bad too.
Yeah.
You just go on gargoyles, beat his thugs, and then grapple up to him.
You just stand under him and grapple up. That's it.
It would have been great to have a battle with Arkham Knight where it features all the types of combat, where there's different waves of the battle. Like Deathstroke-ish, Mr. Freeze-ish battle, mixed in one. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that. So because Paul Dini wasn't the writer.
No.
But yeah, so that's really it. I mean, after that we have Scarecrow, and he's not even a boss because we don't really technically fight him.
No.
And then technically Batman is the last boss. Because you're a Joker or some version of Joker, and that's the game. That's it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want the true ending of Arkham Knight, you need to beat it 200%. And there you go.
Garbage. It's exactly. So trash. I don't understand why they did that.
Me either.
Especially when all the side missions leading up to that are trash anyway. So, or at least most of them are. There are a couple that I enjoy, but
me too.
But yeah, Arkham Knight, what a downgrade compared to
really
the
worst one.
Not even just bosses, but everything else. The story's really bad. The characters are awful.
I guess we can honestly say that Arkham Knight is technically the worst Batman game.
Yeah.
At least the worst Arkham game. For story-wise, definitely the worst.
Story, yeah, that is probably the worst in the
because Arkham Origins has some really cool strong suits in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we won't get into. That'll be saved for another episode of Intensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's it. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll go over like the side mission bosses another day, but like in terms of main stuff, like okay, what would you say is your personal favorite, and also what would you say is the worst out of the entire series?
My personal favorite is Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, I think you and me can both agree on that. But
yeah,
I'm curious to see what what your worst, what you think is the worst one.
Well, okay, we're not including Electrocutioner as a boss, are we?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah.
No,
I was going to say that's
just a joke.
Hands down the worst.
Like that's just a joke.
Probably Bane in Arkham Asylum, because
yeah, that's pretty bad.
Joker is really bad, but at least he looked different. Like at least he looked like a total whack job. Kind of makes it funny to play rather than like horrible. But it's in between, I think, Joker from Arkham Asylum and Bane in Arkham Asylum. Definitely from Arkham Asylum, because that has the worst boss fights, just generally. What do you think? I'm curious to see what yours is.
Oh man,
I'm guessing it's from Arkham Asylum.
I was gonna say either the Titan Joker or the last Arkham Knight boss, the stealth one.
Oh, the Arkham Knight boss.
Yeah. Yeah, because he literally he shows who he is, he cries, and then he hides like a little bitch until you knock his ass out. So
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I think those go hand in hand too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say for me it's probably they're basically the same boss, Joker and Bane. It's literally very similar. Minus the Batclaw thing. I guess Joker because of how anticlimactic it is.
Yeah, because it just ends. Like just like
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and then he just like quickly shrinks back to normal Joker and looks exactly the same.
He's like, I punched him with an explosive punch, and then he's just like, all right, he lost a few teeth. Like that's it.
Right. Like in reality, like why did his hair go into a mohawk? Like what the hell happened? Like why did if his nails grew out of his hands, why do they still look normal when he's back to normal? Like I don't get it. So many questions, so little answers.
Okay. I like the idea of like a souped up Joker, like just for like kind of a once-off thing. But I actually kind of like the design they have for Titan Joker, but just the boss, like you're expecting this huge kind of climactic showdown.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying I have a problem with the look. I'm just saying like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't.
But no, I agree with you. It's like we've been building up to fight Joker and face him the whole game. He's caused all this mayhem and death. And then we just punch him in the face and pull him with the bat claw a couple times.
Yeah, he'll try and swing at you, he'll leave, and then
which again makes no sense. Why would he leave? Like he just jumps up and does nothing. He just looks at the camera.
Yeah, he's more powerful than Batman. Like you can just like
can literally grab me and throw me off the roof.
Pretty much.
Or throw me into the helicopter. Like,
but he's just like, nope, I'm gonna have my guys come in and do it because I don't give a shit anymore.
The funny thing is too, though, is the Titan thing does definitely seem like something Joker would do because of how crazy he is. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna shoot myself with this shit, basically.
Yeah.
And see what happens. But it just didn't work in Arkham Asylum.
No.
Because they just, I don't know who wrote it. I guess Paul Dini wrote that. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
And best. Wow, what a shit show this was. Speaking of the bad bosses.
Yeah.
So you want to do the outro, my friend? Do you want me to do it?
I don't even know what to say. So, like,
All right, I guess I'll do it. All right, so guys, that's going to be it for episode 1 of Intensive Treatment. This was really fun, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I always have fun with Marvel, but doing kind of this new Arkham, exclusively Arkham podcast thing is just it's a little new. It makes me very happy because this is something that I've always wanted to do, is just have a podcast dedicated to Arkham. So yeah, I mean, we don't really have a set schedule yet, and I'm sure that's something we're going to be talking about soon. But as of now, this is just episode 1, and we'll see, if people watch it and they like it. That's, and we'll probably still do it even if people don't watch it that much because we like it. But yeah, so I had a good time, and I really appreciate Marvel for doing another podcast with me. Because we already do the Speaking Nerd podcast, which I will link in the description below. Go watch it. And yeah, this was a good time. So I guess that's going to end the episode off for today. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your night. And as Marvel usually says, stay nerdy, I believe. And keep reading your Batman and keep playing Arkham. We will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.